The town of Greyhaven lived under a perpetual blanket of soft drizzle, and quiet sighs its cobblestone streets wound like weary snakes between rows of neat, somber houses, each one seemingly holding its breath. The only splash of unexpected color came twice a day with the arrival of Mr. Alistair Finch, the postman. His bicycle, painted a cheerful, impossible sunshine yellow, rattled gently as he navigated the damp lanes. Mr. Finch wasn't just a deliverer of letters and parcels. He possessed an uncanny ability to sense the unspoken wishes tucked away in the hearts of Greyhaven's residents. He carried bills, yes, but also seeds for forgotten gardens, long-lost photographs wrapped in tissue, and sometimes just a kind word whispered at the right moment. He was, in whispers only, called the postman who delivered dreams. One resident felt the gray more deeply than most. Young Ellie lived in the small cottage at the very end of Willow Lane with her grandfather, whose eyes had grown distant with time and memory. Her parents were far away, sailing distant oceans on a great ship, sending letters that arrived like rare, precious birds. Ellie spent her afternoons sketching fantastical birds with impossible plumage in her notebook, her only escape from the quiet loneliness that filled the cottage's corners. She watched for Mr. Finch every day, her heart leaping at the sight of his yellow bicycle, hoping for a blue envelope bearing exotic stamps, and her mother's looping handwriting. The disappointment when none came was a familiar, heavy stone in her stomach. One particularly dreary Tuesday, the drizzle felt colder, the gray sky lower. Mr. Finch arrived, his usual cheerful whistle a little softer. He handed Ellie's grandfather his pension notice, then paused, looking intently at Ellie's small face, etched with a sadness too old for her years. He didn't see the sketchbook she clutched, but he saw the longing radiating from her. Bit heavy today, Miss Ellie, he murmured, his voice like warm gravel. Seems the clouds need reminding that the sun's still up there, planning its comeback. He reached not into his mailbag, but into the deep pocket of his raincoat, pulling out a single, perfect, impossibly red autumn leaf he'd found preserved near the old oak. Found this fellow trying to hide from the rain, thought it might brighten a windowsill. That simple leaf, vibrant against the gray, became a talisman for Ellie. She placed it carefully beside her mother's last photograph. When the next letter from her parents didn't arrive the following week, the familiar ache returned, sharper this time. Gathering her courage, she waited for Mr. Finch. As he handed her grandfather a pamphlet, she blurted out, her voice trembling, "Mr. Finch, the dreams you deliver, could you deliver one for me? I just want to see a real, colorful bird like in my drawings just once." She looked down, suddenly embarrassed by the childishness of her request. Mr. Finch simply nodded slowly, his kind eyes holding hers for a long moment. Dreams can be tricky parcels, Miss Ellie, he said gently, but I'll see what the sorting office upstairs has in stock. He pedaled away, leaving Ellie with a fragile spark of hope. For days, nothing seemed different. The gray persisted. Mr. Finch delivered the usual assortment of mundane mail, offering Ellie only his gentle smile. Yet, unseen by Ellie, a quiet mission had begun. Mr. Finch used his rounds to visit old Mrs. Gable, known for her prize-winning canaries. He spent an afternoon with reclusive Mr. Thorne, discussing the migratory patterns of finches he observed from his attic window. He even carefully sprinkled specific seeds near Ellie's cottage garden fence, seeds whispered about by the town's few avid birdwatchers. He moved with the quiet determination of a man orchestrating a silent symphony, his mailbag holding not just letters, but packets of hope and whispered requests to the natural world. Then, one crisp Saturday morning, a miracle unfolded. Ellie sat sketching by her window, the red leaf her only companion. A flash of impossible blue darted past the pane, then another. Her breath caught, drawn by the specially chosen seeds, and perhaps the focused yearning of one small girl. A small flock of exotic-looking birds, tiny, dazzling blue tits with vibrant yellow chests. Descended onto the garden fence, they hopped and fluttered, their feathers like shards of stolen sky and sunshine, chirping a melody far brighter than anything Greyhaven had heard in years. Ellie froze, her pencil dropping, tears welling in her eyes. It was more beautiful than any sketch she'd ever made. The colors were real, alive, and singing just for her. The vibrant birds didn't stay long, but their visit transformed everything. The cottage felt lighter, warmer. Ellie's sketches exploded with newfound confidence and color, inspired by the memory burned into her mind. Her grandfather, witnessing her pure, radiant joy, seemed to momentarily emerge from his fog, a faint smile touching his lips as he watched her draw. The gray of Greyhaven hadn't vanished, but it no longer felt like a prison. Ellie carried the memory of the blue tits like a warm coal inside her, a reminder that magic could arrive unexpectedly, even on the greyest days. Delivered by kindness. Mr. Finch continued his rounds on his yellow bicycle, his mailbag perhaps a little lighter, his whistle a touch more melodious. He saw Ellie's transformed face, the new lightness in her step. He didn't speak of the birds, nor she of his intervention. It remained their silent, sacred understanding. He knew, as he pedaled down the damp lanes, that some dreams weren't grand voyages or vast treasures. Sometimes the most profound dream was simply a burst of unexpected color, a reminder of beauty's existence, delivered with quiet care to a lonely heart. And in Greyhaven, as long as the yellow bicycle rattled down the streets, such dreams would always find their way home.